Have you ever wondered if a single day could change the course of human history forever? What if the world we know today was shaped not by centuries of slow change, but by a few crucial hours on a battlefield? We often think of history as a grand, sweeping story. But sometimes the entire fate of civilizations hinges on the outcome of one single, brutal conflict. Today, we're journeying back in time to uncover 3 such battles. These aren't just stories of victory and defeat. They are the turning points that forged empires, decided the fate of cultures, and drew the very map of the world we live in. From the ancient world to the dawn of the modern era, these clashes of armies didn't just end wars, they created new realities. So, prepare to witness the moments where history held its breath and everything changed. Our first stop takes us to ancient Greece. In the year 480 BC, the mighty Persian Empire, the largest the world had ever seen, was on the march. King Xerxes, with an army of hundreds of thousands, sought to crush the defiant Greek city-states once and for all. Standing in his way was a tiny pass called Thermopylae. Here, a small force, famously led by 300 Spartans under King Leonidas, made a stand that would echo through eternity. Their mission wasn't to win, it was to delay, to buy precious time for the rest of Greece to prepare for the invasion. For 3 days, this handful of warriors held back the colossal Persian war machine. They used the narrow terrain to their advantage, turning the pass into a meat grinder. The Persians, despite their overwhelming numbers, couldn't break through. The bravery of the Spartans was legendary. They fought with a ferocity born of a lifetime of training and a culture that valued death in battle above all else. Though they were eventually betrayed and outflanked, their sacrifice was not in vain. The stand at Thermopylae became a powerful symbol of resistance against tyranny. It galvanized the Greek city-states, inspiring them to unite like never before. The delay allowed the Athenian navy to prepare for the decisive naval battle at Salamis, where they would shatter the Persian fleet. Thermopylae taught the world that a small group of determined people fighting for their freedom could stand against the greatest of empires. It ensured the survival of Greek democracy, philosophy, and cultural ideas that would become the very bedrock of Western civilization. Without this heroic last stand, the world we know might look very different. Now, let's leap forward nearly 1,500 years to 1066, a year that forever altered the destiny of England. The country was in turmoil. King Edward the Confessor had died without an heir, leaving a power vacuum that 3 powerful men vied to fill. There was Harold Godwinson, the most powerful earl in England, who was crowned king shortly after Edward's death. Then there was Harald Hardrada, the fearsome Viking king of Norway, who believed he had a claim to the throne. And finally, William, the Duke of Normandy in France, who insisted the throne had been promised to him. It was a perfect storm of ambition. First, Harald Hardrada invaded the north of England. King Harold Godwinson, in a remarkable feat, marched his army over 185 miles in just 4 days to meet the Viking threat. At the Battle of Stamford Bridge, he won a stunning victory, crushing the Viking army and killing Hardrada. England, it seemed, was safe. But just 3 days later, news arrived that William of Normandy had landed his invasion force on the southern coast. Harold's exhausted army had to turn around and march another 240 miles south to face a fresh, well-equipped Norman army. The two forces met near a small town called Hastings. The Battle of Hastings, fought on October 14th, was a brutal, day-long affair. The English, fighting on foot in their traditional shield wall, held the high ground and repelled Norman cavalry charges for hours. The battle hung in the balance, but then a stray arrow fired high into the air struck King Harold in the eye, killing him instantly. With their king dead, the English resistance crumbled. William the Conqueror had won. This single event triggered the complete transformation of English society. The Anglo-Saxon nobility was replaced by a French-speaking Norman elite. The English language itself was forever changed, infused with thousands of French words. The political and social structure of England was remade, leading to the powerful, centralized monarchy that would eventually build a global empire. The arrow that struck Harold didn't just end a life. It ended an entire era and gave birth to the England we recognize today. For our final, world-altering battle, we traveled to the vast plains of Eastern Europe in the year 1241. The Mongol Empire, under the leadership of Genghis Khan's successors, was an unstoppable force of nature. They had swept across Asia, building the largest contiguous land empire in history. Now, their sights were set on Europe. A massive Mongol army, led by the brilliant General Sabata, invaded Poland and Hungary. The kingdoms of Europe, accustomed to their own style of warfare, were completely unprepared for the Mongols' tactics. The Mongols were masters of mobility, psychological warfare, and coordinated attacks. They used mounted archers with devastating effect, showering their enemies with arrows before closing in for the kill. In April 1241, at the Battle of Mohi in Hungary, the Mongols faced a combined European army led by King Bela IV. The Europeans were confident, holding a fortified camp on the far side of a river. But Subutai was a genius. He executed a brilliant flanking maneuver, crossing the river overnight and completely encircling the European camp. The next morning, the Mongols unleashed a terrifying barrage of arrows and early forms of gunpowder weapons. Panic set in. The Mongols then deliberately left a small gap in their encirclement, a seemingly open escape route. As the terrified European knights and soldiers fled through this gap, they entered a perfectly laid trap. The Mongols hunted them down in the open plain, turning the retreat into a complete slaughter. The entire Hungarian army was annihilated. The path into the heart of Europe to Vienna, to Rome lay wide open. It seemed that all of Christendom was about to fall under Mongol rule. But then something incredible happened. Just as they were poised to conquer the rest of the continent, the Mongol armies suddenly turned around and went home. The great Khan Gedai had died back in Mongolia. According to Mongol tradition, all princes of the bloodline had to return to the capital to elect a new leader. This single, unexpected event saved Europe. Historians debate what would have happened if the Mongols had stayed. Would Europe have been absorbed into their empire? Would the Renaissance have ever happened? The Battle of Mohi showed Europe its vulnerability, and the sudden Mongol withdrawal gave it a second chance. It was a stark reminder that sometimes the course of history is decided not just by armies, but by a single, unforeseen event thousands of miles away, from the narrow pass of Thermopylae to the fields of Hastings and the plains of Hungary. These 3 battles represent more than just military history. They are pivotal moments where the future was written in blood and bravery. They show us how the courage of a few, the ambition of one, or even a stroke of pure chance can redirect the river of time, creating the world we inhabit. History is not a straight line. It's a chaotic, unpredictable story, shaped by moments of intense conflict where everything is on the line. What do you think? Are there other battles you believe had an even greater impact on world history? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We love reading your perspectives and learning alongside you. If you found this journey through time as fascinating as we did, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with a friend who loves history. And of course to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next deep dive into the past. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
If you love uncovering the truth, don't forget to subscribe. More hidden history is coming every week, only on History Uncovered.